Okay, I'm back, but for some reason cannot get. So I don't know what we're gonna do. Let's see if I can make it go this way. Sorry if I'm making you dizzy. Okay, you can't hear me anyway. Oh my goodness. Oh wow, we're just having some challenges tonight. So my phone updated and apparently doesn't want to auto rotate anymore, even though it appears that the auto rotate is on or off or whatever it's on. Oh, okay. Well, this is very frustrating. I'm very sorry. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. I am Michelle Solis from This Must Be Ink, and welcome to my Stamp and Sip live for Friday night, September 13th. It's Friday the 13th, so maybe that explains why nothing will go right tonight. Anyway, I had quite a bit to show you in my quite a bit planned for tonight for some embossing paste techniques. And I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get these cards made and these techniques shown tonight. But if this video turns out to be terrible, then I will try again tomorrow and just put it up there as a video for you guys. Okay, so let's get started. So I am drinking tonight because it's Friday the 13th and nothing's going right. So we're doing blood orange margaritas tonight. Cheers, Friday night. How bad could it be, right? All right, so let's go to this screen that looks terrible, but we're going to see if we can make it through. All right, so this is the card. So the lighting is off and everything else tonight. Oh my goodness gracious, I just can't win. All right, so this is the card, first card that I was going to show you. And this has got an embossed piece of cardstock that I then put embossing paste on to make it look like snow or like a frosted tree. So this is the first card that we're going to do. All right, so what we need, I've got all my pieces here. This card front was embossed with the Painted Trees 3D embossing folder. It's very three-dimensional, and that is really what you want for this technique. You want something that's really going to stand up and have good texture. So we're using this one tonight, and we have already embossed our card front because, as I said, I was ready, and now, of course, nothing wants to go right. But anyway, all right, so we're going to grab our embossing paste, and we're going to grab our palette knife, and I'm going to show you this technique, even though it looks a little shadowy here. Okay, so my embossing paste, when you open it, it just looks like kind of like spackle, and that's really what it acts like, is spackle or grout. So you're going to pick some up on your palette knife, and I just want it on the edge of my knife here, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start kind of little ways down on this tree, and I'm just going to touch my palette knife to the tree and kind of drag it down the tree. And what that is going to do is um, the paste that's on the edge of my knife is going to get picked up, whoops, by this tree. And all the little bumps that are standing up here, they are going to pick up all of this paste. So we're just going to go down and do each one of these little branches to make them look snowy. And you can put as much on as you want. I tend to go a little bit lighter. Don't want to get too crazy. The top of the tree is very thin, so you just want to do that with the tip, the very tip of your palette knife. Okay, so we're just going to hit those raised areas there. And I have used the large tree and the little small tree on this card. On the other one that I did, I used the two larger trees. Okay, and that's it. That's what you want to do. Just super simple. Drag your embossing paste down the tree to get that snowy effect there. So you can see I did the large tree and the small one. This one I did the two large trees. But you get that same effect there. And now I'm going to sit this aside to let it dry a bit before we decorate. This embossing paste will be kind of wet, so you are going to want that to dry before you decorate your card. Okay, so we'll just sit this aside. Okay, so that was the first technique that I wanted to show you. And I've got all my other pieces to decorate that card when that's dry. Get that over there. Okay. The second technique that I wanted to show you was adding some color. Thanks, Pam. Adding some color to the embossing paste. And so let me show you the two cards that I created. These are the two cards that I did with this technique. So I added some color to my embossing paste. On this card, I used Pool Party, Lost Lagoon, and Pretty Peacock. And then what I did was create this tree. This was from the Frosted Forest stamp set. It has this tall deciduous tree, and then it's got these evergreen trees. So this was the little evergreen tree that I created the colors with the mask, and then I also did some embossing paste on that little tree. But tonight I want to show you this background. That's really what we are working on, is this background. And then I had some leftover embossing paste left and came up with this card. So tonight I'm going to show you how to do that. All right, so we are going to work on our first one. We're going to do some different colors tonight. Decided to use the other tree, so we wanted to make it look a little bit more like fall. So I'm going to use some crushed curry, wild wheat, and copper clay tonight for a fall tree. And I forgot what I was doing. I lost track. Okay. I'm so distracted by my camera being crazy. Thanks, Pam. This is a lot of fun. All right. So what we're going to do first is we're going to get our embossing paste and we're going to put some blobs of embossing paste on our silicone mat. Now, if you are going to do this technique with a silicone mat, and I do suggest, well, you could use a glass mat as well. You want something that's going to be easy cleanup. But I do want to tell you that The silicone mat, you might want to dedicate a mat to this because it didn't ruin my mat, but it did make a film on my mat that doesn't come off, but it still works just as well, just so you know. All right, so we're going to do crushed curry. And what I'm going to do is just put, hi Maria, I'm going to just put some crushed curry. This is re-inker. I'm just put a couple of dots. And then I'm going to do wild wheat. A couple of dots there. And then copper clay. And a couple dots there. Okay. So now what we're going to do is mix this up. You can see already it's picking up the color. You just want to smush this around and make it, make it all one color. So you can pick it up and then smush it back down so that you get all the white to be, what was this? Crushed curry. Okay, so that's that one. And then I'm going to mix the next darkest one, which was the wild wheat. Can you see? Okay. Sorry, I forgot I have a very small window of vision here. So this is wild wheat. This is not coming out as dark as I wanted it to, so let me add, sorry, a little bit more color. It's funny that the crushed curry looks so much darker than the wild wheat. I expected it to look a lot more like goldy bronze. This might be because I got some crushed curry mixed in there. All right, let me see if I can get this off my knife. All right, and then we're going to go to the copper clay, which is going to be really dark. Okay, now you do want to work kind of fast on this. This does get thicker as it starts to dry out. Okay, set that aside. Now what you're going to need is a paintbrush. And what I did was I just started with the lightest color and I did like a line across my paper. Oops. And then I just started to go up, pull the color up. And this is a lot more artsy for me than I usually ever get. I don't do a lot of watercolor painting. I don't do a lot of painting. So this is a little more artsy than I usually do. But I thought it was really cool. I watched a video and I thought, I don't know. But then I tried it and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Because it not only gives you the color, but it gives you the texture. Okay, so I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to go on top of that. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Going to bring my color across. Sorry, my camera's really low. So I keep hitting it with my brush. And then blend that in. And I'm going over, I want some of the crushed curry to show, but not all of the crushed curry to show. We want to kind of hide a little bit of that underneath. And then we're going to get this copper clay in here. And I'm just trying to fill up some of the areas that don't have a lot of color, but I want to keep showing all three colors on my page here. Oops, I keep getting stuck on my lamp. Okay, so essentially what we're creating is like a little, I don't know, it's almost like a little landscape with all these different colors. And then if you want to, you can of course go back and add some more of something. I do want this to have a little bit more wheat. And when you see the tree I'm putting on here, you'll know why. What do you think? Oh, I love it. It's like a, I don't know, it's like an abstract painting. Super cool. I love it. All right, so because you have all this left over, you're going to want to have more than one card front ready because you've got to use this up while you've got it out here. You don't want to throw all that away. So that's how I came up with this birthday card. And I just went random, and used up my extra stuff here. This one I'm going to just go sideways and up and down, and spread the rest of the paste that I've got. Oh my gosh, I keep hitting the camera. I'm so sorry, you guys. Let me move into the middle here. I kind of like up and down. I don't know. I'm such an organized thinker. I have a hard time with random. All right, so we just want to use up our paste here before it gets really dry. Oh, I made a big blob at the bottom. Well, we'll just go over, blend it in. Oops. I have a little bit more of the copper. Okay. What do you think? It's hard for you guys to see this far away, but the texture on here is what is really cool. It's too much orange over there. All right, well, that's fine. All right, so now I want to tell you that when you are using this, you want to keep your tools wet. So I keep a bin of water on the side of the desk and I throw all my tools in here. I'm going to throw my silicone mat in here too and keep this wet until I can get up from the desk and go wash that, because otherwise everything will dry with that paste on it and it becomes hard and you won't get it off. Okay, So now we've got our 2 card fronts that are just super random and like abstract art. And if you were here, you could see that they also have like a raised texture to them. Okay, so now we're going to set these aside and let them dry a bit before we can put them together. Okay, and this last one I want to show you is, did you know that you can emboss on embossing paste? So you can use embossing powder on embossing paste as well. So what I'm going to show you tonight, I have created a stencil, so you can use any stencil. But I've created this stencil with these oh my gosh, what's it called? Changing leaves, the changing leaves die. So I cut it out of one of the cardboards that come with our um, designer series paper. So it's kind of a smooth finish and it's a little bit more cardboard. So this stencil I am going to use to do some embossing paste. So I've got a piece of white here for my card front. And I'm going to stick that down with a couple pieces of tape just so it doesn't move. And then I'm going to show you this technique. So I'm only going to do one leaf tonight to show you the technique. And but then I'll show you the card front that I made. Okay, so we're going to set this down. And we're going to get our embossing paste. And I'm going to use a different palette knife because that other one is in the water. Okay, so I'm going to pick up some paste. And I'm going to go over this leaf. So I want to put the embossing paste on my stencil and get it into all these little areas that are cut out. And I feel like I've gotten it underneath the stencil. Oh well, we're going to see what happens here. So you want to be careful to fill them in, but not press the paste underneath the stencil. I was not paying attention there. So we want to get those filled in with the paste. And then you're going to scrape off the excess. But you want to make sure your leaf is all filled in. Okay. And then we're going to pick up our stencil. Oh, I did pretty good. Okay. Pick up our stencil. Put that aside. Pick up our paper. And I hope that you can see that there's an embossing paste leaf here. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to get our embossing powder. And I'm not doing my embossing buddy on this. I'm just going to put powder onto my leaf. And it should stick to most of the embossing paste. Okay, get that out of the way. Now, the real magic comes when you heat this. Let's get my heat gun. You can see that there's a little blurb, little spot here that I missed, but it's not going to matter. All right, so we're going to heat this. And what happens is that the embossing paste will melt, but it gets an amazing texture. Okay, can you see it starting to melt? Hopefully. You might get some bubbling. You can see it bubbling up like it's exploding. Just keep your gun moving. It is going to bubble, but that's part of the fun. You just want to make sure that every area gets melted. And when you're done, you get this incredible raised leaf. It almost looks like leather. It's super, super cool. So I want to show you the card that I did. What I did was I ended up doing 3 leaves on here. Where's the card? Oh, here it is. I did 1 in gold, 1 in silver, and 1 in copper. And then it looked kind of plain on the white background, so I blended the background with those colors. I used smoky slate, copper clay, and wild wheat to blend the background. But can you see the texture there on those leaves? Super cool. So if you miss some areas, you're just going to get blotchy areas like that. But that's all part of the charm, I think. So isn't that fun? All right. So if you guys have not purchased some embossing paste, I think that you need to. You could also die cut this and put this onto a card front. In fact, I think maybe I'll do that with this one. We'll see. All right. So let's go back and see if our things are dry, pretty dry. All right. So we can stick this onto our card front. Sorry, my hands are so close. My camera is just a mess tonight. Oh, I have to figure this out all over again. All right, so we'll get that onto our card front. And then I've already done the sentiment, which we can pop up here. Have a very Merry Christmas. This is from the Sentimental Wishes stamp set in the new catalog. Oh, no, I'm sorry, the mini catalog, which is the new catalog, but should call it the mini catalog so people don't get confused. Okay, so we can add this, maybe up here this time since we have a little tree. And then the embellishments that I used for this were the embellishments that went with the Citrus Blooms set, the opal round assortment, because it's got this nice clear one that I thought would be really pretty. on the trees. And they're almost gone. I'm gonna have to buy some more. There we go. So that's the first one that we did. And then these others, this is just about dry. You get some little bit of flaking that you can just brush off. This has got such a nice texture to it. So we're going to add that to our card. It's a little damp. Let me just grab my heat gun. So if you're impatient with your embossing paste, you can dry it with your heat gun. Just to make sure it's completely dry. All right, so then we're going to put this one onto some wild wheat. It's very disconcerting not being able to see what I'm doing here. Hopefully it's straight. Oh my goodness. Thank goodness my friend Lorraine is coming back. She's going to have to help me figure out what I'm doing wrong here with my camera. Oh, every time they update something, something goes wrong. All right, so we're going to use this tree on this one. And I cut this piece out of the Regal, I think it's Regal Winter paper. So we're going to get that down. These are the dies from the Frosted Forest die set. Love this little tree. Okay, and then we'll just put his little leaves on here. Put a few dots of glue in the bigger areas so they don't show through. And then I did the sentiment for this one is from that set as well. Birthday wishes for a day as great as you are. There we go. Get that onto our card front. I feel like you guys need to yell out directions. More to the left, more to the right. There we go. I think that's right. Okay, there's that one. And then we've got our other one. Oh no, that's not the right card. This one. I've got another piece of wild wheat for this one. Although I might should have used some copper clay paper. Copper clay kind of dominated there. And then on this card front, I wanted to keep it kind of simple. And I had already done the happy birthday on the other card. So on this one, I used the wanted to say dies, and I'm going to do celebrate on this card. And we can use some dimensionals here to pop that up as well. And that would be a good card for anyone. Could also be a masculine card. Okay. All right. And then this last one, I'm going to create off camera because I think I'm going to die cut this leaf. And I will post that later for you guys. So these are the ones that we've completed. And then I'm going to die cut this leaf and add it to a card front. And I'll put that up on my page so you guys can see it. And hopefully I can get a good picture of the texture there for you. Okay. All right. Thank you guys for struggling through with me tonight and watching. I really appreciate your support. And there we go. Oh, all right. Well, my friend Lorraine comes back next week. She's going to have to talk me through what's going on with my phone. Either that or I need a new phone. I can't figure it out. I don't know. The technology gets away from me sometimes. Thank you, Carol. Thanks for watching. All right, you guys, that's it for me tonight. And you guys have a good weekend. Hopefully, it's going to be wonderful weather. And stay crafty, my friends. See you next week.